Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be hailing from. This is Red Hat Enterprise Linux Presents, and today we are wrapping up our Insights mini-series, Modernizing RHEL Management. I'm Eric, the IT Guy Hendricks, and joining me for the series is Mr. John Spanks himself. Welcome to the show.
The last one, Eric. This
The
has been
last one,
quite the
10
adventure.
episodes. My goodness.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been great. I mean, we started out what feels like months and months ago, talking about what is Insights. Then we used Insights to build a new system, and then we made configuration changes, and we tracked those. We monitored CVEs and compliance status. Over the course of this journey, we've covered a lot of materials. In the last couple of episodes, we talked about identity, things like RBAC, third-party integrations. So we've covered a whole bunch of topics. So today, over the course of this mini series, there's actually been a few new features that have been released and polished, and so we want to talk about what's new this quarter, and wrap up with any questions y'all might have. So this has been great. I've really enjoyed it. Kind of sad to see our mini series end, but alas, it was supposed to be a targeted mini series.
Did you learn anything through this process yourself?
I learned a ton, and so did engineering, apparently.
Yeah, I filed a few bugs as a result of this. But though across the 10 episodes, I think we've only had two kind of demo fails. One was completely self-inflicted. And the other one was a valid UI bug. So, that's not too bad, all things considered. I will take that, and hopefully we just didn't jinx the rest of the episode.
We probably did.
Yeah, such is life. But, we spent 10 episodes on this, and as a reminder, like, we only talked about RHEL stuff. We didn't talk about OpenShift. We didn't talk about Ansible. Like, Insights covers more than just RHEL, but that's, of course, where our focus was. So there's a lot to Insights.
Yeah, you should reach out to the OpenShift folks. They've got a ton of content, and they might enjoy a mini series on.
I've already
OpenShift.
chatted with them. That
Nice.
conversation has already happened. So nothing to announce at this time, but yeah, we've had conversations, and they're open to working with me over there as well.
Awesome. Well, now that we've jinxed our demo, why don't we dive in?
Let's do it. So 2 weeks ago in our last episode, we talked about identity and access. And I want to talk about a new feature that's been in the works for a while, but we just released it last week. This is called inventory groups. And the idea is it allows you to group systems together, and more importantly, use those groups as an object for access control for RBAC. In this initial release, it's not full featured. It is an initial release. It doesn't have everything I want yet, but it's a great starting point. So we're excited to show you how this works here. To set the stage a little bit, I'm currently, what you see on my screen right here, and I'm going to draw your attention to the upper right where my name is up there. This is my primary account that I've been using throughout this episode to show off inventory groups and how it works. I actually have a total of 3 accounts that we're going to be using. So I've got my John Spinks. I've got a sysadmin. So my account, my John Spinks account, is an administrator. I have access to all the things. That's how I've showed you all these features over the last several weeks. I have a sysadmin user who's got a lot of power, but currently that sysadmin can see everything. If I go into the inventory for RHEL, I'm going to see all of my systems. So this is 323 systems. I also have what I'm going to call my limited access user. So same kind of thing. If I go into the inventory and look at the systems, 323 systems. We go back to sysadmin, 323 systems. And for myself, 323 systems. So all of my users can see all of my systems. And maybe that's not what you want. The scenario we're going to start with is the idea that I, as an org admin, I'm going to create a group of systems, and I only want my system administrator to have access to those systems. So let's say these are database machines. I only want them to have access to those database machines. So we're going to start by going inventory and groups. Brand new feature here. There's some information on how to get started. We can, tells you how to create an inventory group, how to create user access. But again, first, iteration of this, very simple. I have several systems that I call my Raleigh systems. So I'm going to create a group called RHEL for Raleigh. And by default, there's nothing in this group. So let's add some systems. Search for RHEL, and I have 7 different systems that all start with that. They're security systems in this case. We'll pretend they're database systems. I'm just going to select all 7 and click Add. So now I have created a group that group has all of the systems in it, and I can go into the group info here, and now I can manage the access. So we've got, our 7 system, 6. F5. Let's refresh. I believe I filed a bug on this one already, which is sometimes it doesn't refresh all the way. I'm faster than the UI at points, so all 7 systems are indeed there. And we go into the group info, and what this is going to do is this is going to redirect us into that area that we were in yesterday, which is the identity and access management. So by tapping that, it's going to send me over. Again, I'm an org admin. I've got full access to this. You either need to be an organization administrator or you need to be a user that has the user administrator access role. So I completely count. So now that I have my group, the reason that all 3 of my users can see all of my systems is because of this default access role. We talked about this in the last episode. The default access role includes the inventory host administrator role, which that lets any user of the system see all of the systems on the system. That is given by default. So by default, everybody can see all the things. So the first action, if I want only my sysadmin to see particular users, is to remove the inventory host administrator from this view. And one of the things that we talked about last time is an impact of this is it changes my name from the default access group to the custom default access group. This is known. This is understood. The idea here is we've modified this from the default. We want an easy way to identify that. So my name did, in fact, change. If you wanted to change it back for any reason, you can tap this restore to default button right here. That would restore it back to the defaults and give you all the access again. But this is a change that I made on purpose. I wanted to make sure I did not give anybody access to the inventory admin group. I can see that that didn't happen. Something else you may want to check, if I go into the roles, I'm going to, again, look for the inventory admin. So inventory host administrator. It is a member of 2 different groups right now. The default access, well, I haven't refreshed. So default access and default access administrator. So let me actually, we're being slow on the refresh today, it seems.
Hey, but if that's the worst that happens,
it's because I said something earlier. I know why. If I go back to inventory host administrator, it's still showing it, but that group no longer exists. It is now the custom default access. So group custom default access. Let's check this out. I'm going to go back to my sysadmin here, and I'm just going to function F5 to refresh the page. And now sysadmin can't see anything in the inventory because I took away inventory permission. Same thing with my limited access user. Let me F5 this guy here.
Maybe.
Right, F5, maybe. All right, you don't want to reply to keyboard command, so that's okay. All right, so there we go. Same thing. Can't see it. Can't see it. Perfectly expected because we pulled away that level of access, right?
This is huge in terms of functionality. I can remember being a contractor that worked for the United States federal government for about a year or so. And in my early position, I was shifted between teams while I was there. But the first role there, I was a systems administrator that was part of a subset of systems administrators. And my only job was to manage a series of RHEL systems
Your
that were
systems.
tied to the financial data for that particular branch of
Yep.
government. And it was tough because we had to have all the same tools and all the same utilities that the greater team had. But a lot of those tools, years ago, didn't have this kind of segregation. So now we can all be a part of the same org. We can register our systems to the same place, same activation keys. But because the financials were so much more protected than the regular systems, only our financials sysadmin group would have access to those servers. So this is really great, and I can immediately see an application for this.
Yeah, it should be. I'm excited about this feature. This is one of those that I've been chasing for a long time, and I'm really excited it's here. Like I said, it doesn't have everything I want yet, but it's a huge step forward. So I created that inventory group a moment ago, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new role, and I'm going to call this my Raleigh access role, except I need to spell it correctly. Raleigh access role. All right. And I'm going to go into the inventory application. I've got a few different permissions available for inventory. So I'm going to go into inventory hosts because I want to give access to the inventory hosts on those systems. You could optionally use groups as well, but I'll go ahead and select them. Why not? And what we're going to provide here is under these hosts, either read or write the group definition. And from this, I can select that Raleigh group that I created earlier. I'll talk about it more in a moment, but also notice there's an option there for ungroup systems. So I'm going to select Raleigh, and I'm just going to tap that copy to all. And notice it went boop, 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 boop,
Nice.
and filled those in for me. So all of these systems, I've now got both hosts and group access, read and write, for that Raleigh group of hosts that I created. So you could repeat that with, if you've got maybe Raleigh, Durham, Atlanta, San Jose, Phoenix, whatever, you can repeat this, or maybe it's SQL Server databases, WebSphere databases, on and so forth. All right, so I've created a new role, and now I want to add that role to a group. So I'm going to go into my listing of groups. I have a sysadmin group. This is where my sysadmin is getting most of their permissions. They have a lot of different roles in there. This particular group only has 3 members. So myself, my sysadmin, and a lab account that I've been using for some testing. So I am now going to add the role into this, RHEL, the Raleigh access role, and we're going to add that to the group. So this now contains 48 roles in this environment. I'm just going to scroll down the list. You can see I've got a ton of different roles in here, including Raleigh access role. So created a group of hosts, removed the everybody has access to the inventory permission, and then I added a specific role just to give access to that user. So if I go into my sysadmin here and we reload the page, the only thing that I should see are my 7 Raleigh systems. And that's what we see. So this sysadmin now only has access to those systems. If I go back over to like limited access group and I refresh that page, I still don't see anything. This user has 0 permissions to the inventory. They can't see any systems. And if we compare that back with my account, because I'm an org admin, you can't change my default access. I always have access to all the things because I'm an admin user. I can still see that same 323 we started out with. So that's a pretty cool way to go in here and say, hey, now I've restricted that access only to the user that needs it. Pretty handy.
I love it.
I did highlight for you as well in those roles that I had the option to do ungrouped. So maybe you're in an environment where you want your users, because if you're in console, you already have some level of access. We could do a very similar thing to what we did and say, create a new group called the ungrouped access role. And what we're going to do here is just go back to exactly what we did. Back to the inventory. Hosts. I think it's only going to do host, but that's okay. We're going to do ungroup systems and copy that. It doesn't go to the groups. That's perfectly fine. We're not managing any groups because we're talking about ungrouped. We're talking about something that doesn't need to be grouped. There's no group to manage. So it's expected that I'm not going to have a managed group listed. So, all right. Can't click next. I'm actually going to go back. I shouldn't have selected those last two, but I wanted to show you that example. Ungroup systems, copy to all, and next. All right. So I've created this new role for ungroup systems. And if my goal is to give that access to everybody, I've got to go back into my custom default access. We're going to look for ungrouped access role, and we're going to add that to the group. So what I just did is I gave in that custom access group access to all systems that aren't part of a group. So my sysadmin user should now see, again, everything, because we gave it access to all ungrouped systems and the 7 ones that are in the Raleigh group. Whereas my limited access user, they are only going to see the ungrouped system. So instead of the 323, we're seeing 316. So if I go search in here, they aren't going to see any of these Raleigh systems listed. It doesn't exist to them. Whereas my sysadmin user, you can see them there at the top, but there's my 7 Raleigh systems. And as always, myself as org admin, I can see all the things. So that's a look at this grouping mechanism we have. The limitations that I know of at this moment that are affecting me, you can only add a system to a single group, and you cannot nest groups. Those are the biggest limitations that I'm aware of right now. And these are things we've got, they're on the roadmap. This is an initial release. But this is a fantastic capability if you want to group systems and provide access. I'm super happy with this.
So you're going to go get on that right after this episode, right?
That's not up to me. That's my PM, and he's working on it. So, but yeah,
for right out of the box, this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled with this because it causes me, we have a lot of big accounts at Red Hat, and I don't like people messing with my stuff because I do these demos, and I don't want people to fix my stuff if I'm going to show it to you in a miniseries. That's happened in one episode. I think I managed to fix it before we started the episode, but I'm like, somebody went in and fixed my stuff. I had this set up the way I wanted it. And, so demo accounts like this, it's especially impactful. So I'm super excited about this.
This is awesome.
Right. The other big thing we were going to show you today, we're doing good on time. The task service is one that we haven't had a chance to touch, because if you remember, the way we've started out this whole series is we began by building an image and launching an image off of that. And I built purposely a RHEL 8 image. So throughout this whole mini series, we've gone in and we've looked at Advisor to see, are there any recommendations? We've looked at patches to see if we needed to update anything, vulnerabilities, compliance issues, all of these things. But maybe now we're far enough in our life cycle where it's time to start moving that system from RHEL 8 over to RHEL 9. And what kind of considerations do we need to do, have in mind before we perform this kind of an upgrade? So we've got a service in the UI that helps us with that. It's under our automation toolkit, and it's called Tasks. So this is a RHEL pre-upgrade analysis utility. And what it does for us, there's a preview of the playbook that you can see right here. So you can download this. Give me a second. I'll pop this open in another window, if I can find it. All right, and switch you to a lovely black screen there. It disappeared on me. As soon as I switched screens, it walked away. All right, so we're going to have to make this bigger. This is that I just downloaded, but it's Elite Pre-Upgrade Assessment. You're probably fairly familiar with this. Making sure we got access to the necessary package for our system. There's a command that we're running. Because we're running it through Insights itself, this will actually execute it through Insights. There's a signature here. If it's some sort of an uneligible release, like we are not going to be able to upgrade from 6 to 9, 6 to 7. We're not going to upgrade from 9 to next increment because there's no next increment yet. Gather all of our facts, install Leap if needed, but we're not actually performing the upgrade here. We're just doing a pre-upgrade analysis. So you can see everything that this is doing right here just by downloading this playbook. And I pulled that in right here. Download preview of playbook is where I pulled that down from. So you can check that anytime. You can see what it's going to do. This is a super simple command. It does require that you are either using a satellite or you're using RHC. All of my systems are using RHC. That's listed right here. If you have a system connected that's not using satellite or RHC, we have no way of actually executing that playbook. So you need one of those mechanisms. But I've got in here, I've got a number of systems. If I just go search for my RHC systems, I think my mini series is under Durham. So we can just tap, Durham mini series 1, and we can execute the task. You can also do this at scale. So I've got 12 systems here and a dog that's barking because somebody left the door open. So I can go in here and just select all of these systems, or I can select a subset of the systems and then click execute task. So it's just going to kick this off. I think I ran it on 10 different systems here. Yep, sure enough. This does take a minute or two to run, but it's going to take that pre-upgrade analysis we just put in place, and it's going to execute that. I've got some that have already run. So while this runs, I'm going to go back to the tasks area. And if you see in my activity here, there's one that's running. I've got a number that I've done earlier today because I found a couple bugs earlier today. So I ran it a lot today. Here's one where I did 12 at a time. If I tap on that, what you can see here is the different systems. If you have some that time out in this case or a failure, these are the ones that I was filing bugs on. Or what you hopefully will see most of the time is a success. Here's my RHC08. It has 0 inhibitors, so there's nothing here stopping this from upgrading. But there are 7 potential problems that you want to look at. So Grub Core will be updated. Subscription Manager release. This is a low risk. It's just giving you information. We've got target system repos that we're going to be excluding. So all this data is in here. And more specific to our mini series system that we've been using the whole time. This one's ready to go. No inhibitors, but there's 8 potential problems. One of the challenges here, remote root logins globally allowed using password. We'll be fixing that one. PostgreSQL Server database. This is telling me that because I'm running an older version of Postgres, RHEL 9 uses Postgres Server 13. So along with the RHEL upgrade, I'm also going to need a workload upgrade. My SQL Server is going to need to be upgraded. So proceed with additional steps after you do the upgrade here. So, but all this data is in here. It's available for you to review and use. And this gives you a really good handle on if your system is ready to upgrade to the next major version of RHEL. So, and I did that, it's 12 systems. It probably took, 3-4 minutes to run on each system at most. If I go back to the tasks, it's hopefully done on there for the one I just kicked off. But yeah, that's all there is to this. It's super simple and lets you get a view into what you may need to address prior to doing any sort of a RHEL upgrade.
That's amazing.
All right, I'm going to go back and check that activity real quick. Still running. I think one of these, a couple of these are done. You can see mini series 1, 2, and RHC08 still running. So I can just tap these out and you'll see any system that's complete. So as it finishes, you'll see it right here. But yeah. Eric, during the course of this episode, were there other questions that came up that we hadn't answered, or we've gone long on several of the episodes just hanging out and answering Q&A. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
I think you blew everyone away. There weren't any questions today, but is there anything in the pipe, anything maybe in preview that we want to tease? We got a couple minutes left.
There's a lot of stuff coming, but I don't think there's anything that we're ready to talk about. We will remind you that at any point, we have this preview mode option right here. So you can tap preview mode on at any point. This is publicly available, but it may not be released. So you may see new features out here as we're testing them or trying it out. You may see a blog as we release new features or new capabilities. There's at least 2 more features that we're actively working on that I was really hoping we'd be able to show off by this episode, but not quite there yet. Like one more week we might have had it, but we didn't want to delay, an extra week for this episode. We were super excited to talk about the inventory groups. But yeah, keep your eye out in preview mode. You might see new stuff coming out and landing, and give you a chance to get some hands-on with it prior to it being released. Inventory groups is one thing that was kind of a little odd about it, is we just released that because it had to do with accessibility. There was no way for us to put that one in preview mode and kick the tires on it a little bit. It just went live. But the majority of things that we put out on Hybrid Cloud Console, they do get tested for at least a couple of weeks in the preview mode first.
And may go without saying, but I want to say it anyway. Anything that's in preview mode or like the RHEL 9.3 beta or any of those things, use with caution, and please don't put it into production. You never know if that feature is going to drop out of preview mode for a while engineering rework something, or
100%.
So just please don't use preview mode for anything in production. But if you do kick the tires on something in preview and you come across a bug or some kind of issue, we've called it out every episode. We'll call it out again. There's that purplish feedback button. Definitely click on that and share your feedback. I know for a fact that John and his team spend a ton of time combing through those, looking for bugs, working on issues. I know we've submitted several things over the course of planning for this miniseries. So those things definitely do get seen, prioritized, and in some cases fixed. Actually, I should say most cases, but I was alluding to some cases fixed before your next miniseries episode. You never know.
Exactly. And I don't know if you can see it, if on the YouTube view, if our heads are the same place they are in my little preview. In the lower right-hand corner, there's a little light bulb icon. So if you click on that light bulb icon as well, there's any kind of updates as we release new features and capabilities. We try to put a little blurb about them in here. So it's a great place to go for news and information. If we're doing blogs or anything like that, like we try to post all this information in here and make it easy to access. So I've got 18 things I haven't read. Shame on me. It will tell me what they are, but usually I'm aware of them just due to my role.
I was going to say, I'm sure a lot of those you've worked on the feature at some level and just didn't click the little bubble.
Correct. Yeah. and I like showing off that the bubble is there, and we've got a way to release things and show it to you. We mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, but to highlight again, Insights is included with your existing Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscription, OpenShift subscription, Ansible Automation Platform subscription. It's there. It's included. Like there's no cost to activating and using all of this stuff that we've spent the last 10 episodes, 12 weeks telling you about. Like this is all available for you to use. There's no additional cost here. You've already got this. This is included in your subscription.
Yeah, definitely worth using. I cannot overpitch Insights to anyone whenever I'm talking about the value of the Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscription. So we've got just about a minute left, but quiet day in chat, but a lot of good information. Was glad that a couple of our new features landed in time for this episode.
Yep, and more coming soon. Stuff comes all the time. Our blogs are really active. It's just that the Red Hat blog is where you see most of the Insight content. I think there were 7 different blogs last month or something like that, just on various Insights features. But the key places to go here, and Eric can probably put these in the chat super fast, but redhat.com/insightsinfo. Let's see if we go to this one. This is an information resources page. So anytime we get new videos, new analyst papers, live streams like this one, they're all posted up here, available for you to go check out. This is all the customer facing information. And then the same kind of thing. If you're looking into Insights, you haven't started using it yet, we've got a pretty full featured FAQ page. You can get to that at Insights FAQ, and we've got this tabbed out by there's a general FAQ, there's RHEL, some service specific FAQs. So if you're using something like our advisor service or compliance service, OpenShift and Hybrid Cloud Console FAQs. So all of these are up here available for use. It's a great resource. Yeah, these are out here and ready for you. So use all the insights resources you need, and if you haven't tried it, give it a try. This is really cool stuff, and it increments really fast.
It is absolutely awesome to see all the work that's been going into this tool. It's really grown a lot over the last 3 years or so since I started working with it. But I would. This is about the point in the show where I'd start pitching the next episode. But guess what, John? There isn't one. We's done. But that doesn't mean that we won't have John back on the RHEL YouTube channel. In fact, we try and get him on Red Hat Enterprise Linux Presents, which is live every other Wednesday, at least a couple of times a year, to give us some what's new and show us the cool new things and insights for RHEL. So definitely hit that subscribe button. If you click the notification icon, it'll also let you know about 30 minutes before we go live. Definitely hang out in the chat. It's usually pretty lively, but it seems like folks are a little busy right now, but a lot of good questions and a lot of good engagement happens in the chat, both with us and with each other. So definitely join us live when you can. Red Hat Enterprise Linux Presents will be live next Wednesday, so a week from tomorrow. I think we ended up with a scheduling conflict, so I'm going to have to check the schedule and shift some things around, but we'll be live. We don't know what we're going to be talking about, but we'll be live. Also, if you like to get your hands on the keyboard, you can join Into the Terminal on Fridays at noon Eastern. Not John. I looked at John and said his name. Nate and Scott will be live this Friday talking about Linux-based command line text editors. So we'll be talking about the most important one, Vim. See if that started a flame war in the chat. But hello, Darth, and I said Scott's name, and he appeared in the chat. So definitely join us this Friday. It's going to be a great episode. Lots of tips and tricks that we've been throwing in the episode guide. So looking forward to that one. Other than that, I think that's really it. So stay tuned. Definitely check out the Red Hat blog. Follow us on Twitter at RHEL. And John, anywhere else you want to send folks?
I am all set. I just say go check out Insights if you haven't already.
Awesome. Love it. And if you stuck with us through the entire episode, guess what? There's new animation graphics coming to the next episodes of your favorite live streams. We've been working on it for months. They look and sound awesome. I'm really, really excited to see them. So definitely check out Into the Terminal and then RHEL Presents next week as we've got some new media graphics. So we are dedicated to this. We're putting our money where our mouth is. So definitely join us because I know Nate, Scott, John, and I really, and Brian Smith really enjoy doing these. So definitely support us and share with a friend. And then one final note, if you're interested in the Fedora community, I'll actually be live on the Fedora channel here in about an hour and a half or so. We'll be talking about immutable desktops. We'll be talking about the silver blue spin of the Fedora Linux desktop. So if you're interested, check that out. Other than that, I think that's about everything. So on behalf of Red Hat Insights, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and all of us here at Red Hat, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.